Hi, Claire.
Hi, Steve.
Welcome to Art Friends Coffee again. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So, following on from our last video, where you talked about your artistic journey, I was wondering whether you could spend some time just talking to us about, well, basically how to become a full-time artist. I know it's a topic that a lot of people are interested in, and one which you've already bravely committed to yourself, and you're very successful. So, I think people will be interested to hear what you've got to say.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's quite often what I'll say to people. It does take quite a lot of commitment, but with most creatives, because it's something that we absolutely love to do, that's all you're thinking about anyway. So, I became a full-time artist after moving down to Cornwall. And I mean, I've been a full-time on and off prior to that, but having to sort of like financial securities and things like that. But once I got back into Cornwall, I felt that I had the room, and I came up. My style led me with the confidence to really invest in it. Once I determined my method that I absolutely love to work, that really gave me a solid platform to be then, sort of put out who I am. This is I am as an artist. This is what I do. This is what I'm interested in. This is how I would like to exhibit myself, and so forth.
So particularly for those people watching, so you got yourself to a stage where everything was in place, and you knew that you could sensibly make the leap.
Yeah, to a point. It's always a little bit. You're learning all the time, aren't you? You're always developing, and it's very difficult to know when you're, especially if you've got developing style, or it's very difficult to know when you're at a place that's secure. But it's just I had to push myself out of comfort zones, and it was a case of sort of just keep sort of reaching out to sort of venues, and the local art group that I was involved with, that was a really big help to sort of get me to secure me on the way to actually being a full-time artist, because there are lots of opportunities for getting work out into exhibitions, which would then lead on to clients contacting privately, open studios that would usually spur on several months of work afterwards. And also, sort of reaching out to galleries, which is always quite a painful process at the beginning. Once you've got one underneath your belt, it's a lot easier after that. But that first step is quite tricky. But
and I suppose, like anything, it takes time to sort of establish relationships.
Oh, it does, absolutely. And it's really, you've got to be careful on the gallery that you're approaching, so you've got to make sure that it's the right fit, or you can see that it's the right fit for you. So, and also that you enjoy that working relationship, because if you enjoy that working relationship, that can go on to sort of, be a fantastic bonus for them and for you. So it's a real partnership. But yeah, it was, it's a big choice, but I think what I would say is that one of the things that I know was actually just to reach out for as many opportunities as possible. And some things work, some things you enjoy, and it's a success, and other things you don't enjoy, and you won't want to repeat it again, but it's never a loss, nothing is ever wasted. So
it's a lesson learned, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. So I'm quite an organised person, so I always like to try and make sure that I'm looking at my next year ahead. What sort of events am I looking at for next year? Because you do need to sort of, for events being organised, they quite often like you to sort of be in contact. And so it's a case of really it is a business, albeit it's a very passionate business. But the way I approach it is I've got to be fairly structured about it, almost, so that I know I like to be able to paint knowing that my paintings have a venue or a destination to go to, because that's part of the excitement, that you actually get to physically share them and you get to see the reactions.
So but you feel like when you start painting a picture, you're thinking about that, this is going to be there. And
so I've got to the point now, but it's taken quite a few years to get to that point, because prior I would be creating maybe not knowing necessarily where the work would be going, whereas now for the last several years I'm at a point where I'll always know that what I've got scheduled coming up, what I'm building towards, and because I paint so slowly, it's usually I'm always like, yes, you're the same. We take our time because, yeah. But I often I'm always feeling like, that it's not pressure, but I know that I've got, quite a lot to fulfill. So it's a continual momentum of work being created. And that's a really important sort of factor for me, because I think otherwise there's a chance I could drift. And certainly with artists, we can spend quite a lot of time procrastinating. So for me, I've got quite strict work hours. I'm in the studio from 8:30 in the morning. I do one school run in the afternoon about 3, but I'm back in the studio again, maybe finishing between 5 and 6. And I do that Monday to Friday. And that's really important for me to have that time, because, this painting behind took nearly 3 or just over 3 months to create. So it's not a quick process. No. And so I do need to allocate the time. But for me, that's what I want to do. That's how I enjoy working, because
do you think a strong work ethic is key to going full time?
Yeah, I think it is, because it's quite tricky, because you've got your creative time, which for a lot of artists, whether or not you're a quick worker or not, is, that's very time consuming, because you've all the processing and the thinking and the creating and the producing. But you've also got all of the admin time, so social media, reaching out to people, trying to source new contacts, what competitions are happening. So just how can I get my work seen is absolutely key, because obviously that's what we need in order, and the whole reason we need to do that is so that you can keep creating what we love to do by selling. So it is, for me, I try and keep my painting hours free of admin, and then afterwards, or if I'm getting tired towards the end of the day, then I'll touch in and pick up on the admin side of things. So I like a routine, and that really suits me and my method of working. And if I step out of that routine, time can get a little bit lost. So for me, it's really important to really sink in there, and and just sort of push yourself out and try and be brave.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's some really useful stuff in there. It makes me feel quite lazy listening to you, if I'm honest. But it's brilliant. So funny enough, when I was asked that question, straight away there was 2 artists which sprang to mind. You were one of them, and I thought, how do you become a full-time artist? And I thought, well, I'm not actually sure I can claim to, because I know a few full-time artists, and they've got an incredible work ethic. I know you're in the studio first thing. You even though your artistic style takes a lot of time, you're almost prolific in the amount of work that you're able to produce. So I'd really admire that. I think it's brilliant, and I think that anybody considering going full time could do far worse than just listening to your words of wisdom there. So thanks so much, Claire. That's really helpful.
Absolutely.
For those listening at home, I hope that was useful to you. If it was, please give us a like, and subscribe would be incredibly welcome. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much, Claire.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Bye. Bye.